Well, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're watching this, and hello from beautiful Orlando. We're here for NACDA 2025. My name is Wade Longmire. I'm the Director of Regional Markets here at Affinaquest. More importantly, I'm joined by a great panel. We're going to have a spotlight discussion on data-driven leadership. Dan Stahl from the University of South Carolina, Chief Data Officer and Chief Revenue Officer. David Marr is Chief Executive Officer at the Affinaquest Technologies. Taylor-Dixon, a Senior Associate Director of Brand and Strategic Communications at St. Diego State University. Gentlemen, thanks for being here with us. Right now, as of a couple of days ago, we're living in the post-house settlement world in collegiate athletics, which means that each of our departments, all of our colleagues are answering questions about fan loyalty, scaled and revenue. How do we attack this era of collegiate athletics? What role does data and technologies play? What role does partnerships play? All of us are going to have to answer those questions as we move forward with it. Dan, we'll start with you. Both South Carolina and you have both become synonymous with data in collegiate athletics, a testament to all that you've done. How are you all thinking about data in the post-house settlement world, and how can you prepare to answer some of those questions that are posed to us now?
Yeah, thanks, Wade. First off, thanks for having me here. It's a great question, and it's first off great to have clarity from the house settlement case. It gives us, as an athletic department, a direction of where do we go, what are the next steps, and actually making a plan to then execute that plan rather than the ambiguity that we had prior to that. So what we've looked at and what's become more important and what I've seen over the last year or two is that athletic directors and senior administrators are looking more at making smart decisions with real data behind those decisions rather than, hey, this is our best guess. So we look at price changes, we look at incremental revenue growth, and everything that we're doing, we want to make that decision with a data-driven science behind it rather than taking our best guess, because to be candid, we can't miss now. We've got to get it right, and we got to maximize the revenue opportunities that we have available to us.
You're touching on it, but talk a little bit about the culture of leading with data, both internally and externally. How has your role kind of evolved, Chief Data Officer?
Yeah.
How do you get people to get for that and lead both fans and, other administrators?
It's a great question, and something that I take pride in is just talking about it a lot, making sure people know what's available to them. They don't know what decisions or what tools we have if we don't make sure they're aware of them. So what I'm proud of is we can be in a meeting and somebody has a question and we have the tools at our fingertips through our warehouse to then pull up that information and make a live decision in that meeting. Whereas when I first started at South Carolina, it might have been all right, let's research that. We'll get back to you in 2 weeks, and then we'll talk about it again. We're in a meeting. We have a decision that needs to be made. We pull up the data. We figure out what we need to know, and then we make a decision in 15 minutes.
It's an asset.
Yeah.
That's how it should be functioning. David, moving to you. Obviously, we work with a number of client institutions in this front. Can you talk a little bit about predictive analytics, right? A term that gets used a lot in this industry. We talk about real predictive analytics. Can you help us define that, especially as it is for basic reporting? Let's start there.
Well, first, I appreciate that softball. Predictive analytics is at the core of our company and how we think about it. At times, that term is, let's just say there's a lot of literary freedom around the term of analytics, and you have to make a distinction between reporting, business intelligence, and analytics, and a subcomponent of that being predictive analytics. So our technology is focused on the latter. We focus on predictive analytics, and therefore, when you think about predictive analytics, you have to have a certain architecture and structure, and specifically speaking to a data warehouse that has slightly changing dimensions versus an operating data store or just a general operating database. So in order to do predictive analytics, you have to have that structure, and that data is based on questions you're trying to answer. That's what drives it. It's not operational reporting where you're dumping your data, you're looking at, hey, this is how we performed last season or at this game, number of tickets sold, this is how we're trending. It literally looks to what will a future hold for us? And then from predictive analytics, we then start to move into prescriptive analytics. Not only can we highly predict this is going to be the outcome, but now that we know that's going to be the outcome, what type of analytics or prescriptive analytics can we execute in order to achieve that outcome most effectively? So that's how, as a company, we're thinking about it and how we've been driving it the last several years to have an architecture and be able to answer the true questions of propensity, capacity, how do I engage my fans, how do I nurture them through, and how do I donations, tickets, all those things that we need today, even more so than we did yesterday, or now that the house settlement has had, revenue becomes more and more important. So that's how we think about analytics at Affinaquest.
Yeah, excellent. You're giving folks those signposts, right, to guide action and when they should spend their day-to-day, hour-to-hour. How about pivot to a larger question, right? You talk about analytics. Partnerships are obviously key in this era of collegiate athletics. What's your technology look like? Who are you trusting to come into your building and help you with fan engagement, data, so on and so forth? You're CEO of Affinaquest, right, a technology partner in this space. What does trust look like between an institution and a group like ours?
I think I'll leverage what Dan said about you have to make decisions that are informed by data. I mean, opinions are interesting, but I like facts and data, and building trust with a client is to be able to show real data, their data, and how that data is being used to deliver an outcome. So another thing as a guiding principle of our organization, we say if we're not moving to enable our clients or support our clients in driving incremental revenue, not just revenue, put a system in and you still it's a nice system, it's pretty, but it still generates the same amount of revenue. Well, that's interesting. What are we doing every day when we get up to be able to demonstrate to our clients, beyond our relationships, that we are actually delivering that value, incremental revenue, and our technology is enabling them to be more efficient in how they engage. It allows, athletic departments are challenged at times on resources. So how can our technology be a force multiplier so the team members do their work more efficiently, effectively, they engage the fans in a deeper way, and ultimately we can demonstrate that drives incremental revenue year over year. So if we're not doing that, we're not succeeding, helping our clients succeed, we're not succeeding, and we're not building the level of trust and commitment that we should be building with our clients.
Excellent, thank you. Lio, listen, San Diego State's in a pivotal moment, right? You're moving to the Pac-12 this time next year, so NACDA is just going to be a big monumental case for you all every single year. How are you all attacking this curve phase, especially when it's about engaging new groups, scaling your brand? What's it like at San Diego State as going on?
Yeah, I think one of the first things we wanted to do, knowing we're moving to the Pac-12 and we're at this sort of transformational time in college athletics, is really double down and refine our brand to really know where we are today, but also to project where we want to be in the future. So we did a brand essence project of really looking at our brand, taking tons of input. We hosted 7 to 8 focus group sessions internally, included student athletes in the process, had a facilitator come in and lead it, and really did a listening session amongst our staff, amongst the student athletes. Took the information in, boiled it all down, and came up with a brand essence that really articulates not only where we're at today, but where we want to be in the future. And so those develop these pillars of which all of our actions sort of build upon. So whenever we're in a meeting, discussing something, trying to figure out what we do, we always kind of revert back to our brand essence and those brand pillars of how we move forward.
It's excellent. And similar to what you were saying, too, with that culture of looking at the data and making action.
Yeah.
So, pulling that out, let's talk about how data informs more of your strategy overall. Because, brand and data sometimes can be separate things that people don't want to connect.
Yeah.
So how does data help you all execute on a daily basis? How's the Affinaquest platform help?
So at the end of the day, we want every message we send out to feel like it's meant for you when you get it, right? So we have to know who our people are, whatever attributes we can sort of associate to them, and then how do we sort of tailor our message so that when they receive it and get it, they feel like we didn't just spray and pray, right? We took some time into thinking about who they are, what they want, and what they need, and the beauty of our situation in Snapdragon Stadium, not only are we the primary tenant of that building, we host MLS in there, we host NWSL in there, we have Monster Cross, Supercross, all the dirt shows. We've got Shakira coming up here soon and concerts. So there's a lot of other events within our building, but lots of other people in our building who may or may not be fans of San Diego State football, but we have an opportunity to touch them in a way. And so we think about, well, how do we re-attract those people to a San Diego State message? So the beauty of having those people in our building is we can slice and dice the data, slice and dice certain attributes that make sense, and then we can really tailor our message, right, to attract a wider net. So that's how we're trying to dissect it.
Love it. Yeah, we talk a lot. I know we have before. Data is a currency with which we buy trust, right? We all leave these footprints. So if we can just capitalize on those and turn them into messaging, creates relationship. Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen, especially these questions in these times. Let me ask the current one. We're at NACDA. Anything that you're hearing in the conference halls, in these sessions, at the happy hour bar, anything that you might take back in this current era? Is it too soon to say? Dan?
Yeah, I would just say that in talking with colleagues, everybody is realizing that we have to get more and more professional with our business organization and how we operate as a business. And that puts more stress on our revenue departments, our sales departments, and our retention departments more than ever before. And if you haven't gotten that structure right, you're behind right now, and you got to catch up. And we've got to organize, and we got to do things the most efficient way possible because revenue has never been more important than it is right now.
David, anything to add?
Well, I think there's two things. When we look at our technology from that perspective, from warehousing and CRM, I think we have excellent technology, but we see greater challenges for our clients, not just from the settlement, but when we start to look toward the Super League. And so, again, I think that the thesis holds. We have to work with our clients in saying, what questions are you trying to answer as you move toward that? Not only incremental revenue, but how do you want to engage? How do you want to create a level of intimacy with your fans, not just the alum or those who are coming to the game, but a larger community around the university, how you bring them into your experience. So there's different questions that need to be asked. So what I'm hearing is we have to spend even more time with clients figuring out what are those questions and then build our analytics around answering those questions. So not only can they move through the house settlement, if that's possible, beyond the house settlement, but also looking at how do we prepare to make sure we are well positioned as a university for Super League. If that happens, if it doesn't, it doesn't, but if it happens, you better be prepared. So our technology has to be a force multiplier, enable them to run that business more professionally, have keener insights into their constituents and how they nurture and engage them into their community, and create, obviously, I'll say it, eyeballs. That's going to be, from a media perspective, a currency going forward, especially with the Super League, I believe.
Excellent. Thank you. Ayo, any takeaway from you?
Yeah, I would just say survival of the fittest, right? We all have to evolve. Everybody's trying to do it in their own way that makes sense for them on their campus, in their community, in their environment. And so everybody's doing it a little bit of a different way, right? Everybody has a little bit of a different recipe. But the one thing that is constant is everybody's pushing forward and evolving. And if you don't, you're kind of going to get left behind. So I don't know if anybody has the secret sauce, but we're all trying a recipe.
Well said. Gentlemen, thanks for your time. Ayo, Dan, it's a pleasure to serve your organizations.
Thanks for having us.